All right, welcome to the Samsung Developers Conference Day 1. And thank you for coming to the Samsung Wearables Service Platform. My name is Nalin Chakoo. I'm Director of Product Management and Strategy in Samsung Mobile and based in the Silicon Valley campus here in Mountain View. I have with me Leah as well. Leah, if you want to quickly introduce yourself as well.
Hi, everyone. My name is Leah Huyghe, and I'm the lead UX designer for Samsung Wearables Service Platform.
Great. So quickly, show of hands, how many of you are connected with wearables or developing for wearables in general? All right, I have a gentleman that's raising his two hands, so that's great. So we are here to talk to you because this is an amazing platform where you have new options to develop solutions in a very easy way. And we'll be talking more about how we came up with this idea and what we are trying to achieve with this. But we are very thrilled to be here and really sharing this new idea, new concept that we are rolling out today. So wearables today are growing significantly. We as a community have adopted wearables in different enterprise setups. So we have smart helmets, we have glasses, we have watches, and things of that nature. And the reason why enterprises are doing that is because they want their employees to be healthier, fitter, and safer. And it's very interesting to see enterprises adopting wearables in a very significant way. And Galaxy Watch and the watches, the smartwatches, are the #1 category that are sought after. And the reason why it is so is because watches play a significant role in making a healthier, safer, and productive workforce. So as we launched at Samsung Tizen SDK, we help developers and solution providers, product leaders, and designers opportunities to create very custom applications. And also delivered a tool, which we call Samsung Knox Configure for wearables, that allows solution providers and developers to have a deployment on mass basis. And as we worked with our solution providers, we actually thought about there should be some easier way for them to enable solution on Galaxy Watches. And so we really thought about, is there a way where we can combine the deployment scalability and easy solution enablement? We started looking at different verticals of how the Galaxy Watch is being used in different enterprise spaces. For instance, in the fieldwork, John actually uses a ring scanner. He connects his ring scanner with his smartwatch, which actually helps him communicate to the server. And in this way, he actually gets the information where the box he's actually working on needs to be placed. So if you look at the use case, it actually uses a notification, a display, and a Bluetooth sync up. Let's look at wellness. Wellness is actually for employees to be fitter. So they need to actually track their activities. They need to receive reminders, set daily goals. So in effect, it's actually using the biometric information that they receive, the notification, and some display information on the Galaxy Watch. Public safety. Police officers, they need to be hands-free all the time because they need to respond to very dangerous situations, and therefore, they need to get information right on their watch without actually worrying about taking a phone out of their pockets. So if you look at the use cases again, it is simply the reminders, biometric information about the officer if in case there is any mishap, or notifications about alert management from the command officer. Hospitality is another use case, where if a manager wants to have his employee deliver towels to a guest, the employee can actually receive that information on the Galaxy Watch right away, and then they can respond to that and get that task completed. So as we looked into all these different verticals from manufacturing, wellness, assisted care, hospitality, financial services, we actually found there are common set of capabilities that are being used. For instance, geofence is quite common usage among all these different verticals. We had biometric information that is needed for building up amazing use cases that you as developers want to build. Fatigue management, you need an interface on the watch. Notifications, emergency calling. Emergency calling is pretty interesting where you can actually remap the hardware key button, and just by clicking the button, you can actually create an emergency call. So what that actually made us think, is there a way where we can offer all these capabilities on the cloud, and therefore you as solution providers, developers, product leaders, don't need to worry about building applications on the device? We also started looking at the different trigger action models, such as IFTTT, where you can actually have one component of, let's say, location connect with notification. So the very question for us was, is there a way for us to Legify this? Is there a Legification that we can do for our developer community and solution providers where they can actually stitch together these components that we can expose on the cloud and build solutions on the watch without actually developing anything on the app? So there are actually endless possibilities with this, where you can now think about and imagine any form of use case, any form of vertical, and have solutions built around those. So we are very happy to announce the rollout of Samsung Wearable Service Platform that would truly allow you to build and create solutions of enterprise grade very easily by using pre-built service components on the cloud. So let's look at what that really means. So if you look at the philosophy of developing solutions, what we have today is you as developers and solution providers need to build a business logic and have cloud-based components that respond to an on-device application. We are changing that today. What we are allowing is solution providers now can have an appless way of building and running their solution on the Galaxy Watch. What that means is that you, as developers and solution providers, just need to make sure that your business logic corresponds to a service component for that device. So all the series of service components would be available to you on the cloud, and therefore you can connect your business systems, legacy systems, your existing solution on Galaxy Watch in a very easy way. The same service components that would be on the cloud, for instance, geofencing, would be running on the device as well. So Samsung does most of the heavy lifting, if you can summarize this. So now a closer look is you have all the components such as UI, so you don't need to worry about the UI anymore because now Samsung pre-builds these templates, which you can actually call and just pre-fill them with parameters, and the display of the template would be on the device in a very seamless way. You have geofencing, identity management. So we are thinking through all the possible use case and scenarios that you would need the components for, and we'll build those for you. So what it really means is now you, as solution providers and developers, have a very easy way of having a solution run on Galaxy Watch. You can expand your existing service. So for instance, if you have a solution that is already out there and you're not on Galaxy Watch, now you can augment that solution on Samsung Galaxy Watch. This also means that you can reduce your maintenance cost. And the reason is because Samsung takes care of all the upgrades with respect to Tizen or the operating system in general. Therefore, you can eliminate your development cost and operational overheads. We're rolling out with a lot of components on the cloud. For instance, UX components. So Leah is going to talk about the amazing user experiences that you can build with Wearable Service Platform. Push to talk, where with the press of a button, you can actually communicate with someone else. Geofencing, task management, identity management. These are just a few of them. As we are speaking, our team is working hard to actually build more components so that we can cover most of the use cases. As I mentioned before, we have also adopted the trigger action model. What that truly means is that now you can have the flexibility of connecting components together. Meaning, if you have a geofencing component, you can connect that with a notification. And I'll talk more about that in the example in the next slide. Here, for instance, you can have a trigger as geofence and have an action as a notification on the watch. So what that really means is now you have all these components available on the cloud, which you can stitch together to have a solution running on the device without actually writing a single line of code for the app on the device. Isn't that powerful? So if you really imagine this, we are actually moving in a space where we are offering a lot of powerful capabilities from biometric, notifications, geofencing, and all those available on the cloud. So therefore, you have a very easy way of developing applications and solutions on the device. A very typical example of how a solution provider we are working with is they're using watch for making sure that employees are safe. If the employee moves in a geofence which is called unsafe, the employee actually gets a notification right on the watch that this particular area is unsafe, therefore they need to vacate that location. And how do we solve that with WSP, which we are calling Wearable Services Platform? What we do is you now take a geofencing component, you pre-configure that component, and you can actually define an action associated with that and associate those components together and run that on the cloud. Now, your solution can immediately start running on the device. We have our team here to show some coding sessions of how easy it is to build that solution. So let's try to look at what the actual developer process would be. So you would create components, and that's very fundamental. And the components are capabilities that we are delivering with the platform. So components are such as geofencing, alert management, and as I described before, any list items that we showed before. You can define applet. And applet is how you connect those components together. So geofence connected with the notification becomes an applet. So any trigger action is defined as an applet in our world. Now, in a capsule, you can define multiple applets. And then finally, when you have a capsule which has the service logic written in it, you can actually associate that with the profile which represents you, a developer. And you're done with the development. And then you only link that particular profile with the device, and your service gets provisioned on the device. And we'll walk through this and show you the demos as well. So let's take an example where if all of you have a Galaxy Watch and I want to build a service, very simple one, where I don't want any of you leave this room. And as and when you leave this room, you receive a notification on your Galaxy Watch saying, come back to this session. So what you do in this case, let's break down the problem. You create a geofencing component. You have a notification component. You create a trigger and action, meaning that if the user gets out of this geofence, he or she receives a notification. And then you bundle that particular applet with a capsule. Once you bundle that, you link that with your profile. And the profile is the developer profile. So let's take the example where you create a geofence and notification component. So this is a typical example of how you create a component. You have title as developer tracking, description saying you cannot leave this Moscone Center, West Zone, and then you define the lat long. Now here are values that you as developers and solution providers pass on to the platform. So once you create the component, you have an ID associated with that. Similarly, you create a notification component. Now, in the applet, you define the trigger and the action. So in this particular case, in the applet, you are defining the trigger as the geofencing component, and then the action as the notification component. Now, both would be getting an ID, and therefore you'll be plugging those IDs here. Once you create that, your applet is created. And now, in the capsule, you can add one single applet or multiple applets if you want to. And here's a different example of how you create a capsule and then associate an applet in that capsule. Once you have associated, all you need to do is link that applet with your profile, and you're done. Provisioning is very simple. We have a kiosk app where you log in with your developer credentials, and the deployment of that service that you just created on the watch is done. It's as simple as that. The kiosk app is responsible to send the service configuration, the Wi-Fi configuration onto the device, and the device can actually fetch all the information from the cloud. The provisioning is that simple that you can unpack the device, activate it, configure the kiosk app, and then deploy your service in one single afternoon with 5,000 devices. Let's talk about the user experiences that you can build with the Samsung Wearable Service Platform. And I have with me Leah, who will talk more about what kind of user experiences we have envisioned for our solution providers, developers, and product leaders.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Thank you, Nalin. As Nalin mentioned, yes, my name is Leah. I'm the lead UX designer on the WSP team. And I'm here to speak about some of the challenges we faced on the WSP design team, as well as how we overcame those challenges and some of our goals when we approached this product. So on the WSP team, one of our goals was to make every tap worth it. And what does that mean, to make every tap worth it? That means to have every gesture, every glance functional and operate as intended. Every speech input, every keyboard swipe, it just works. And we did this by allowing you to communicate with your device in any way you want. So if you need to type in a long string of text that would otherwise be very cumbersome to punch into such a small screen, we allow you to use the Bixby framework to use voice input and communicate with the device in a way that's much more accurate that can be done by fingerprint. And it also means to never miss a beat. So when you need to communicate with your colleagues about issue escalation or save time through checklisting, we allow you to do that through the use of templates as well as the input methods. Now, if you're familiar with the newest addition to the Samsung smartwatch family, the beautiful Galaxy Watch, you'll know that it's equipped with 360 pixels of Gorilla Glass. And when we, at the design team, start designing for WSP, we're on big scale monitors. And something that looks beautiful on a large monitor may not translate so well on such a small screen. And if we take inventory of the device itself, it's equipped with so much more. And we can do quite a lot with really quite little. So we do this through what we call UX as a service. So through the use of templates and the unique device hardware, we are able to achieve very specific use cases and interactions like checklisting, reporting, hardware pairing, and much, much more. We at Samsung have spent years looking at device wearable UI and analyzing what looks best for small screens so that you can take you don't have to go through the guesswork that we've been through of analyzing what will look best on the watch. So that voice input functionality that I mentioned earlier, something like that might look like this, where you select voice input and you're presented with a confirmation screen at the end and the option to retry the note if anything was misunderstood. Now let's pretend that you have a client, and this client has the need for a wearable solution that allows them to track the heart rate of their patients. And this can be done through the emergency response template with WSP. So we can communicate context through color and iconography, and big, bold buttons are never misunderstood, even in a stressful situation. And another use case is task management. So a lot of businesses have the need to move to wearable solutions because the need to be hands-free is becoming more and more prevalent. And with our checklisting template, this allows the staff to go through a checklist much quicker than pen and paper. And when we start to observe the way that a service worker performs tasks, we'll notice that they will switch intermittently in between the task and checking it off the watch. However, as they become more familiar with the checklist, they start to batch those tasks into groups to save time. And we notice that they start to use the watch a little bit less. But during this interaction, we thought, wouldn't it be nice if the watch just auto-scrolled to the next item? So we built this into the checklisting template so that you don't need to reach for the bezel every time you want to move down the list. And it's these simple micro interactions that make the WSP templates beyond just functional, but delightful. Now, one more use case before I go. The hotel shift management use case. So hotels, they require their staff to keep track of their hours when they clock in, when they clock out, and maybe if they want to request overtime or take a break. So this can be done too with the hospitality template. So this is just one of the many examples that businesses are using to save time, reduce engineering effort, and just triple their bottom line. So Nalin will talk a little bit more about what's coming for 2019. And thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Thank you, Leah. Did you just notice UX as a service? UX as a service on the cloud, meaning you don't have to worry about now the complex user interactions, the complex way of building the design on the watch, because the Samsung Wearable Service Platform takes care of that. So you as solution developers, partners, product leaders, and designers only think about how you can actually have your solution running on the Galaxy Watch. The possibilities with this platform are truly endless. We are very happy to announce that we are rolling out the closed beta for this. We are working with select partners. And in next year, we are opening up the beta for other partners as well. But if you are interested and have very compelling use cases, do talk to our team members who are at the booth here, and also can show you how the demo works and what the coding session is, how really simple building applications and solutions on the wearable platform is, and you really can augment your solution on the Galaxy Watch. We're doing something very different next year as well. We are actually working with technology providers who have very unique capabilities that they want to bring onto the platform, meaning the components that you saw before can be your component as well. So if you have a technology that you see is something you want to distribute and use the platform as that particular channel, come talk to us, because we can actually have your component on the cloud so that other developers, other solution providers can actually use that and help you monetize with that. We're also coming up with B2B2C use cases, where if you want to take that particular solution and experience to that consumer space, you can actually work with us as well. Please check out our booth. We are available. You can contact me, and my team would be happy to connect with you and understand your problems and use cases that you're trying to solve. And also visit our booth. There is, by the way, a prize, a chance to win. If you rate this session, you would actually have perhaps a Galaxy Watch as a prize. So thank you all. If you have any questions, please let me know. This is the perfect time to actually do that. Okay. Oh, there's a microphone, so.
Does the WSP work with non-fully connected watches, those that are occasionally connected?
Right. So we are supporting both Bluetooth and the standalone device. However, the best examples would be with the standalone devices. However, if the device is Bluetooth, yes, the solution would still work, where your solution will get provision on the Galaxy Bluetooth device through the kiosk app, and the solution will still run. However, it would need a mother device for any operations that need internet connection. Yes.
So does the geofencing works for indoor application, or it's only outside?
So we are trying to make sure that the geofencing capabilities are the best in class using Wi-Fi triangulation methodology. So whatever out there is the best, we are trying to adopt that. Indoor is quite tricky, because even for mobile devices, indoor has been always a challenge unless you have strong Wi-Fi signals inside and you know where exactly the access points are. Therefore, we are trying to work towards that. However, it's right now generic in nature.
Hi, does WSP have any features for the end customer to manage the devices? So, for example, if a police department deployed them and a device was lost or stolen or something, are there any device management capabilities in WSP, or the ability for the customers to plug in their EMM?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So if you look at the Samsung Wearable Service Platform, what we are doing actually is enabling solution providers and developers to build their solution. What that means is that even though we would be exposing device manageable capabilities, it would be for the solution providers to actually make the best use of those and harness those to actually build the best cases. So for the end customer, in case they have any device management related use cases, they can actually use their solution provider, and the solution provider can use all the capabilities that we'll be exposing as part of the platform. Does that answer your question? Sure. So in spirit, the platform offers deployment scalability plus solution enablement. And therefore, it's the solution provider and the developers who are responsible to take advantage of the platform. So if the customer requests that feature, the providers, or the solution providers, the product leaders who are actually designing that solution for the end customer can actually do and achieve all that with the platform.
The issue might be if they had multiple solutions or multiple apps from different providers on the watch, be able to manage the overall.
Yeah, there would be privileges that would be shared in that case. So it depends on how the watch is, the ownership of the watch is. So in case the customer is the owner and the solution provider has the customer rights, they can actually take any management capabilities and take advantage of the platform to do so. But in case, I think it also points to a larger question, that is, if there are two solution providers who want to actually have their service running on the same watch, is that possible? The answer is yes to that. Yes, please.
I love the UX, and I think it's a really powerful tool that you guys are doing. Quick question on the UX: is it possible for a service provider or solution provider to differentiate the UX just a little bit from their competitor or industry peers?
That's a good question. Again, I think right now our goal is to offer as many templates to everyone, so everyone should have the same playing field in terms of building that user experience. So in terms of templates, it's going to be very standard. Even though we are adding new templates every day and trying to think about all the user experiences that developers and solution providers want to build. However, in terms of common functionality, it would be something very common to all the solution providers. So therefore, that's how they would take advantage of the platform.
Thank you.
Yes, please. There's someone in the back.
Sorry, just to follow up on that question, I didn't quite understand. So can these templates be customized? Or are they pretty static in terms of the look and feel?
These are customizable templates. So these templates are standards where the user experience can be delivered on the watch through these templates. However, if you want to change the color scheme or you want to change the background, those are something parameterized, and you can change those using those templates on the cloud.
Okay,
does that help? So in that manner, you can actually start differentiating. So even though there are two solution providers using the same checklist, for instance, or for that matter, the same alert, but in terms of actually having a different background and color feel and matching it with the solution provider and the developer or the product leader who's actually thinking and envisioning that particular solution, they can actually do that. Any further questions? Yes, please.
Yes, how can the WSP be integrated with people who do native development?
That's, we have been working with certain partners who already have developed applications and therefore have some presence. So what we are actually thinking about is if they want to augment that particular capability that they have already built without actually making changes to the application, they can actually take advantage of the platform. And therefore, even though their application is running on the device or not, they can still deliver the same user experience. Meaning, let's say you are a solution provider and have built an application, for instance, for assisted care, all right? And we expose a new component that is very much applicable to your solution. However, that particular solution is only available on WSP and you already have an application. You can take advantage of the platform and still deliver that particular component that is very specialized in nature to your end customer as well. So that's a hybrid model, even though the best use cases would be around if a solution provider or developer has to build everything on the platform, that's the best case for us. But in case there are developers who have some presence, they can still take advantage of the platform. Does that help? So let me give you another example. So for instance, you are in assisted care. We are working very hard at Samsung to build fall detection, right? with our wearable. So in case you want to take advantage of that component on the cloud, you can still take advantage of that and then have that experience delivered through your application.
I'll give another example, like with your emergency template.
Right.
With the emergency template, for example, if somebody wanted to take that and then add a custom native application that then enhances or extends that to do some additional algorithms or so forth, using native coding in C, is there a way to do that?
So that is possible. However, the communication between these two entities would be through the cloud and therefore not on the device itself, meaning that the agent that I talked about before is not communicating with any other agent on the device. If at all you need any communication, it has to happen through the cloud to your end application again. Any further questions? All right. I think please check out our booth and the live demo. You have a chance to win, again, as I mentioned, by rating this session. Thank you all for coming to the Samsung Wearable Service Platform. I hope you can connect with us and we can build great experiences for our Samsung Galaxy watches together.